Hello, today I want to talk about this important skill of delegation. If you're a founder, a leader, you're running a company, you know that at some point you become a bottleneck. And in my own experience working with many leaders, one of the biggest challenges is knowing how to delegate. Now, what I find is that we understand that delegation is an important skill. And so we try to delegate it by telling people, look, why don't you take over this, or give people responsibility, give them freedom, empower them. You do that and then it doesn't work. And then you realize that, oh no, this delegation thing, does it really work? Then you take back the power. But what I find is that the missing piece is that it wasn't done systematically. So I've created this process that I've called the 7 steps delegation sequence. And I'm going to give you this checklist so that you can delegate in a way that would work for you, ensuring that the person that you're delegating whatever task it is to, if you follow this process, then you're 9 times out of 10, you'll get this right. So let's go straight into it as I walk you through these 7 steps. So you can see already that these 7 steps is divided into 3 areas. So we have the before part of the delegation, which means that what happens before you delegate. And perhaps this is the part that people miss the most. They don't realize that there's some preparation work that needs to be done before you even delegate. And then there's the during, which is perhaps the shortest part. And then in order to make this stick, there's the after you delegate. So let's get right into it to understand these 7 steps. So step number 1 is what to delegate. Now my checklist is going to really help you filter down what should you be delegating. And here are some things that can give you clarity around what to delegate. So you can see here, determine the tasks that others can do with at least 70 to 80% effectiveness. So if you find out that there are people around you that can do something that's just as good as you can do it for about 70% in the right way, or 80%, then that's something that you might want to delegate. Then the next question you want to ask yourself is, do you know why? Why are you delegating this task? So what's your reason for delegating it? And then the third area is, are you clear on the benefits to you for delegating this? So why are you delegating it and what's the benefit to you? So it's going to free up your time, free up your headspace. And so just having that clarity is the first step, because now you know why you are delegating this task. Now the second step is who to delegate to. And what is your reason? So you need to be very clear on who you're delegating this to, and how you can be clear on this is by going through these questions. So is this person better than you on the task? That will be a good reason. They're already interested in this task, or it will help them develop. So sometimes some people might come to you and they might actually say, you know what, Toye, I actually want more responsibility. I want to grow to become a manager. I want to grow in this position. Then you know that this is part of their development. So you're giving this person this responsibility with clarity that this is also benefiting them, because it's in the step in the area where they want to be developed in. Another one, is it part of their job already? So that might be another reason to delegate this task. And another key one is that they have the time to work on it. Sometimes you might give somebody a task, but they're already overwhelmed, and that's not going to help. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help them. And the last one there is that there is no one else. I think that might just be the facts to say, I'm sorry, there's just no one else. You just have to do this. And that might be it. So having some kind of level of awareness of who to delegate to and the reason to delegate. So these are things that you're going to go through before you even delegate. Now, step 3, what level of authority to delegate? Now, I guess if there's any area where we make a mistake, this is perhaps one of them, because we got some different levels of authority to what you're going to give to the person that you're delegating to. And I got this from John Maxwell, some brilliant kind of concept of these levels of how you're going to treat this person as you delegate. So there's the level 1, look into it, report, I decide what to do. This is an entry level. This is maybe you're delegating this task to this person for the first time, and you want them to look into it. You want them to respond, not to make any decision. You're going to make that final decision. Then there's a look into it, report alternative with pros and cons, and then your recommendation, but I'll still make the final decision. Okay. Then there's a level 3, look into it. Let me know what you intend to do, but don't do it unless I say yes. And this is actually a good way of developing somebody to the point where you can finally delegate. As you can see, there's a progression there of the authority in order to make that final decision that you're giving to them. Level 4, look into it. Let me know what you intend to do and do it unless I say no. Now, the first one was unless I say yes. This one is unless I say no. You just go ahead and do it. Then level 5, take action. Let me know what you did. And then level 6, take action. No further action required. Once I've given it to you, just go ahead, execute. Yeah, I trust your decision on this. You decide what you want to do. So now we know what to delegate. We know who to delegate to, and we have our reasons, and we know what level of authority to delegate. Number 4, step 4, is we want to be clear on the deliverables. Again, we want to be clear even before we've had the conversation with this person. And what kind of clarity do we need? Well, first of all, are you clear on what good looks like? And this is one of the reasons why delegation fails, is because we have not painted the picture of what good looks like. And this is the reason, again, coming back to step 1, we're talking about 70 to 80% of effectiveness or it being completed. Whatever that task might be, there must be some kind of clarity around what is expected of me. There could be a deadline. It could be a level of understanding towards, it could be a decision made. You get my point? So you want to be clear on what good looks like. By the time you come back, I want you to have made a decision on XYZ. By the time you come back, I want you to have 3 proposals on what the next step should be. By the time you come back, I want you to XYZ. You get it? So you want to be very clear on what the deliverables are. Then also, do you know what outcome you are hoping to see? Now, there could also be a level of outcome in the delegation. In fact, I was just speaking to a client just today. We were talking about empowering a newly employed staff with clarity around what are their key results, what's expected of them to provide X number of leads each month, so that there's clarity around what the end goal is. Then we also have, can you quantify how much or how many of what they need to achieve? Again, these are areas where if we're not clear, they don't know what to expect. You don't know what to expect. So using the objective key results might be a good framework to start to think here. What's the key result? What's the outcome you're hoping to achieve? Are you clear on the standard that needs to be achieved? It could be a quality thing. It could be, look, at the end of the day, an 8 out of 10 is good. At the end of the day, this is a quality. There's a certain checklist. By the time we ask these 6 questions, I am expecting to get a yes in 5. That's a standard. You get my point? So just really being clear on what the expectation is. And then the final one there is by when and how quickly does this need to be done? So a timing frame there would also help. So we've got some clarity on what to delegate, who to delegate to with our reasons, what level of authority to delegate, and then we are clear on the deliverables. So now we can have a meeting with this person. So we can go to step 5, the delegation discussion. Now the delegation discussion should be quite simple as long as this person is willing, but we've got a little bit of a checklist, and let's just go through that so we can understand how we can do this effectively. So make it clear that you want to delegate this task to them. Now, why did I write that? Because I have seen, and maybe it's even happened to me, where leaders have met with somebody that they want to delegate something to, and they've never even mentioned it. They haven't been clear. So I was thinking about this and was wondering if maybe you might be able to, all these wishy-washy words and not being clear to say, I want to delegate this task to you. Very clear, very pinpointed, essential, right? And then you want to describe the task succinctly. You want to be clear on what it is. Here's all the things that we talked about. I want you to start taking care of XYZ. I want you to look into this research project ABC, and being very clear. Share and discuss the benefits to them, to the company, and the importance of the task. Again, we might not realize that sometimes what will really empower somebody is when they know that you are delegating to them a level of responsibility that is actually going to even have an impact on the organization at large. If you've got a vision, a purpose statement, it's always good to connect the dots for people to see that, oh wow, I'm being given this responsibility. This can energize the person to really take on this responsibility that you're giving to them. And then we've got ask for their agreement. Again, let's not assume just because you're the boss, just because you've delegated it, doesn't mean that this person is in agreement. And so being very clear on what giving them that opportunity to agree is an essential part of this process. And then we've got clarity. If they have understood the expectation, there's no harm in you asking. Could you just relay what you've heard? What what's expected of you? What did you hear? What do you think I want from you? What's the expectation? Just being very clear. Hearing it back first is a good way to ensure that there's an understanding of the expectation that you've delegated over. Agree on the level of support they need. Again, if you are very clear on your levels, that's step 3, then make sure that that is clear to them. I'm going to be checking in every week. I'm going to be asking you how it's going. I think I completely trust you. You've done this before. Then there's no need for me to check in. At whatever level it is, just make sure that that conversation has taken place. Agree on the level. Then agree the frequency of checking and monitoring of the task. Again, the two go together. If you understand the level of authority, then naturally the level of frequency also is important. And then agree next step. So once you've done that, you might actually want to have this in writing, email them just to make sure that it's very clear. Now, here's what happens after. Communicate to those that need to know. And this is maybe another big downfall, is that you've delegated to this person this task, but all the other team members know that you are responsible for that task and you haven't updated them. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to come to you. So this is a very important step. So here's how you can do that. Have you sent a written document going over everything that was agreed with the delegate after the meeting? You want to make sure that that's done. Again, here's what we said. Here's what you agreed on. Then have you sent a message to those that need to know about what the delegate is now responsible for, and explain the level of authority you both agreed. Again, this is going to help because it's going to help them. If it was that you didn't delegate the final decision to them, it's important for other members to know, because some people might feel like, oh wow, all of a sudden they've got the authority. If you've agreed on it, there's no harm in you communicating that to everybody else. I've given XYZ the task to figure out, and to bring to me 3 proposals. I'm going to make the final decision. This just helps people to understand. And then when people come to you, and this is again a pivotal moment, when people come to you, do send them to the delegate to deal with the issue at the appropriate level that you agreed on. And here's how delegation typically breaks down, is when the person who was in charge takes back the power, takes back ownership. People come to that person and say, oh, what's the decision? And then you make a decision without informing the person that you delegated to. It just collapses the whole process. So you want to make sure that you're sending them back. I've delegated this to XYZ, speak to them, and then we'll make final decision or whatever that might be. But make sure that that person is in the loop and you're honoring the fact that you've delegated this task or responsibility to them. And that can leave us to step 7, which is to make it stick. How do we make it stick? A few questions that we can keep on asking ourselves. Have I checked in to give specific positive reinforcement on what is going well? This is a very important point. We are more motivated when we know we're progressing. So positive reinforcement is actually intentionally looking for what's going well. Even if things aren't going that well, you still want to find that first thing that, okay, here's what they've done well, and reinforce them so that they know that there's some good that's coming out of this. Have I asked if they think there is any area they can still improve? Again, you want to ask the questions. Any area where you think you can improve? Because this could be a opportunity for development. Have I asked if they want my suggestions? Again, even if they are level 5, level 6, you might still see some areas, and then you can ask the question, you want me to give my own input on this, and get that kind of agreement. Am I avoiding taking back ownership? Again, if this is something that you actually like, you might find out that, oh, I missed doing this, and you might unknowingly want to take ownership again. So you need to ask yourself, are you avoiding taking back ownership? Am I aware when things are being pushed back to me again? Sometimes some people will take the ownership, love the moment of getting that responsibility, but then when things get difficult, they might want to put it back on your plate. You have to intentionally push back as well. Have I decided to let go, even if it's something that I enjoy doing? Again, as I said earlier, you need to really let go if it's something that's taking your time, even if you know that it's something that you enjoy, but it's not enabling you to have the impact that you need to have. So there we have it. The 7 steps delegation sequence checklist. As you can see, before you delegate, step 1, what to delegate. Step 2, who to delegate to. What's your reason? Step 3, what level of authority to delegate. Step 4, be clear on the deliverables. And then during the delegation, which is step 5, the whole discussion, making sure that it's very clear that you've communicated what that is. And then we move to step 6, which is after you delegate, communicate to those that need to know. And then step 7, make it stick. So I hope this has given you some clarity on how to delegate effectively. Now you can download this checklist. There should be a link wherever you're watching this. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can subscribe to the channel for more tips and techniques of how you can lead more effectively. This is Toye Oshunbiyi for Business Leaders Coach, and I see you in the next video.